Okay, this is going to be the notes video for Geometry Unit 1, Constructions 1, and then Constructions 2 right here. And these assignments are going to have your notes on them, right here, the steps, and then it will have two problems at the bottom of the page on both sides. Okay, so a construction, all a construction is, a geometrical construction, is just when you use a compass and a straight edge, like a ruler. I'll just use this one right here as an example. A straight edge, like right here, to make geometric shapes. Okay, that's all a construction is. And so what we're going to be doing is practicing doing this. So I'm going to put these instructions aside and you can read along. But on the front page, you have steps 1, 2, and 3, okay? And the first thing is we're going to draw a perpendicular bisector of a segment. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our straight edge, and it says right here the goal is to draw a perpendicular bisector to segment AB. Now, we know from previous assignments that when you have a line like this and you're going to make a perpendicular bisector, number one, it's going to intersect this line right in the middle between the two ends, and it's going to make a line that is perfectly 90 degrees like that. Okay, I know that's kind of small, but I'm just trying to give you a quick example. So this is what it looks like, okay? So it's going to have a line, and it's going to make a line right down the middle, and it's going to be perfectly 90 degrees to this line right here, to the horizontal line. So that's what we're going to be doing. So let's follow the instructions. And our first note says we're going to draw a perpendicular bisector to AB. So we're going to draw this on our paper right here. So I just draw a line, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, it needs to be straight. And it doesn't matter how long it is. Okay, and you're going to make points A and B. Okay, just like that. Okay, so we're going to look at step number 1 and we're going to follow along. So it says, first, step number 1, place the compass at point A. And when you're placing a compass, a compass on a point, that means you're putting the pointed end, okay? You're putting the pointed end on A like that, okay? And it says, adjust the radius so it's more than 1/2 the length of the segment. Now the radius is this adjustment right here when you can pull it apart or push it together to determine how wide your marking area is from your point, or from the point to the tip of the pencil, okay? And it's got markings there in centimeters and in inches, so I could put it right here. Here's 0 right there, and then if I put it on the 1 inch mark, and that doesn't look like an inch right up here, but between the pencil lead and the point, that's about an inch, okay? So that's how you use it. So the first thing we're doing is putting it on point A right here, and we want our compass to be more than halfway, okay? So if I'm looking at here, and I'm just going to put a very, very light mark. I'm just guessing that halfway is about right there, okay? It's about right there. So I want my compass to be wider than that. So I'm going to make it about this wide, okay? So I'm putting my point on A, and I'm making my compass more than halfway across the line, okay? All right, so the first step, it says draw 2 arcs as shown. So you have one above and one below with your point right there on A. So we're going to do that right here together. So I'm going to give you a little tip. When you put your little pin, your needle, into point A, push down on this part, the needle part, and make this a little bit more free to move around. It's a little bit more easier. When you put your weight on the pencil, then this thing right here will pop up, and then you'll mess up. So It takes a little practice, but anyway, you're going to put your point down right here in A. And you can make 2 marks or you can make a solid mark. I don't care. So, and you can even hold it with your other hand or whatever. But to me, it's easier just to hold it steady and then move your paper. So I'm just going to hold this steady and I'm just going to move my paper and turn it sideways. And I'm just going to make a mark all the way around. Oh, see, I'm already off. I'm going to make it go all the way around like that. And where it looks like that. So I need to check and make sure that I did it right. So everywhere I look, it's going to be about right, I think. So I have this thing right here in my way, so it's hard. But if you just stick this in the point, and you put your pencil where you want it, and then just rotate your paper, it'll make your mark, and it's a little bit easier. So anyway, I could have made a mark right here, and then a mark down here. I could have done that, or I just make one fell swooping mark. It doesn't matter. Now it says, now in step number 2, keeping the same compass radius, so do not change the radius here. Place the compass on point B. So now you're going to put it over here, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to draw 2 arcs intersecting the previous arcs, okay? And then you're going to label them X and Y. So, and if you noticed here, I didn't make mine long enough because it doesn't even touch this. So I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to turn my paper, and I'm going to make a mark that way, and then I'm going to bring it back, and I'm going to turn my paper, and I'm going to make a mark that way, okay? And then I'm going to have to go back over here and make this mark a little bit longer because I did not make it long enough over here. Okay, so now that's what it should look like, okay? And then you're going to label this one and this point right here. You're going to label those X and Y. And this will be part of your grade if you make your point and you label it properly, okay? Because I'm going to be counting that. All right. Then the third step says, using a straight edge, draw X, Y. So this is X and this is Y. So you're going to put your straight edge up against X and Y, and then you're going to make a straight line going straight through there like that, okay? And label the intersection M. So it crossed right here. So this is going to be an intersection of M right here. I'm going to name it. And then, if you noticed, look right here in the middle. This line is right in the middle perfectly between A and B, okay? And it also makes a 90-degree angle right here. And I want you to draw that little cube right there so that it represents a 90-degree. And I will count off if you don't have it. So, and this right here. So now this is the original line that was given to us. Okay, I made the first mark up here and up here from this side, from A. Then I put it on B, and I made this mark, and I labeled them both. And then I drew my line through, and then I put the intersection right there and labeled it M, and then I put my little 90-degree mark. And this is what you're looking for. It looks identical to this example right here. If you look at this example right here looks identical to this, other than the arcs go all the way around instead of just making it right there and then making it right there, which you can do it like this or you can do it like this. I don't care. But anyway, it's identical. And so your finished product must look exactly like this to get a perfect score, okay? All right. So now let's practice one more time and do another one. And I want you to draw another one, make it smaller or bigger, it doesn't matter. And just make it at a different angle, like make it sideways or whatever, because some of them are sideways, okay? And you can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to use the same ones again. So I'm going to call it A, and I'm going to call it B, like that. And then you're going to follow the same steps over again. So you're going to take your compass, and I'm going to put it right here on A, and I'm going to make sure, see, it's way too long now. It goes all the way past. So I'm going to bring it in some to where it's a little bit more than halfway, okay? So there it is. Okay, and you can see my compass right here. It looks a little bit like it's not even. It's hard to. So it doesn't look really even. So I'm going to kind of adjust my pencil and bring it down just a little bit, and then so it's a little bit like that. There, it's a little bit more even. But don't adjust your pencil in the middle of the construction while you're drawing, okay? Do it before. Okay, so I'm going to put it back here again and test it, and I'm more than halfway. So now I'm going to put it on A, like that. And this time I'm not going to go all the way across. I'm just going to do it above and below. So I'm going to make my arc here by moving my paper. Then I'm going to spin my paper over here, and I'm going to make it again right down here like that. And so there's my first two marks, okay? I've got one up here and I've got one down here. Now I'm going to put it on B, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to change the radius or anything. I'm going to turn my paper there to where it crosses that one, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to turn my paper where it crosses that one. And now I've got those two marks. And then I'm going to label this point X and this point Y. Okay? And then the last step, it says to use a straight edge to make your line XY. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to pop that line like that. And I'm going to put an arrow on it. You don't have to do that, of course. And then I'm going to label that point M like that. And then I'm going to put my little square right there to show that this is indeed a 90-degree angle. And there is my completed construction. Okay? So now you can keep practicing for a few more times. If you want me to look at them, that's fine. But then I want you to do those two problems at the bottom of the page. Okay, now we're going to flip it over and we're going to do a different one. Okay, that's where your second paper comes into play. Okay, so once again, I want you to draw the line, the diagram that they have up here on the back of this page. You're going to just draw a straight line. You're going to put a P point on there and call it K. Okay, and it doesn't matter where you put the point. Okay. So I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to draw this line. It doesn't matter how long you make it. Okay, and I'm going to put my point right here, okay, like that. I'm going to call it P, and then I'm going to call my line K, just like that, okay? So it looks very similar to this diagram right here. So what we're doing now is we're going to draw a line perpendicular to line K through a point, through point P, okay? So it won't matter where the point is on the line, we can draw a perfect perpendicular line straight through it, okay? So here we go. This is how we're going to do it. So it says, step number 1, place the compass at point A, adjust the radius so it's more than 1/2 the length of AB. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped a step. Place the compass on point P. Using any radius, draw arcs intersecting the line K and 2 points. So you're going to put it on point P, and you're going to make an arc here and an arc there, and then you're going to label them A and B. So let's do that. So any radius, it said. It doesn't matter what your radius is. Obviously, I can't make it this wide because it would be off the line. So I need to make mine, I need to bring mine in some, like right here, so that it will at least be on the line, okay? All right, so I'm going to adjust my pencil a little bit because it's just a little bit too long. I mean, what the heck? Oh, wrong way, no wonder. Okay, so there. So I can go this direction and I'll hit the arc. I'm at the line, and I can go this direction and I'll hit the line. So you put it on point P and hold it there. And then I'm going to put it over here on the line, and I'm just going to turn my paper and make an arc there. And then I'm going to spin my paper around it, and I'm going to come right here on this line, and I'm going to make another arc, just moving my paper, and there's another arc. So I've got an arc on either side, and I'm going to call this one point A and this one point B. Okay, now the next step is we're going to place the compass on point A, adjust the radius so that it's more than 1/2 between A and B, and then draw an arc as shown. We're going to draw an arc up above like this. So I am going to put it down, very similar to what we did on the last one. I'm going to put it down here, and I'm going to make sure that it's at least more than halfway. So I'm going to put it here on A, and it's way more than halfway easily, okay? So now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to make my arc above right here. I'm just going to move my paper, and there's my first arc right there, okay? Now it says to keep in the same radius, place the compass at point B, and make another arc that intersects that one. So I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to turn my paper and make another arc where it crosses over that one, just like that. And then I don't need my compass anymore. Then I'm going to label this point X. So I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to make this point X. And then it says take your straight edge and draw XP. So here's X, here's P, and I'm going to draw a line through them. So I'm going to put it up here like this, and I'm going to draw a line through that like that, put my arrows on it, and this is what I will be looking for. I'm going to be looking for, it's in between, perfectly in between A and B, and it goes right through point P, and it does make a 90-degree angle like that. So it makes it perpendicular. Now, if you look at your example right there, this is identical. These two are identical together. Everything that's labeled on this is labeled on that one, including K over here. So, now you can make another line. We'll do one more example. Just do another line. And I'll call it K as well. And I'm going to put the line more in the middle right here, and I'm going to call that P again, like that. And then I'm going to practice it one more time, okay? So I'm going to put the point in P. You can read through the steps again, but I'm going to put it right here and make sure that it doesn't go off the line anywhere, so it doesn't. So I'm going to put it in P, and I'm going to go here. I'm going to make my arc through the line, and then I'm going to spin my paper around, and I'm going to make it right here as well. So there are my two arcs that I've made, okay? And I'm going to label those two A and B. So I'll put A here and B right here, okay? And then, very similar to the very first example, I'm going to make sure that I'm put it on A and make sure that I'm more than halfway, which I am right here. And then I'm going to stand it up, and I'm going to make my arc above the line. So right here, just moving my paper, rotating my piece of paper there. And then I'm going to put it over here on B and do the same thing until it intersects. And there you go, right there, boom. And I'm going to label that X right there where those two intersect. And then I'm going to draw XP again. And there it is right there. I'm going to pop that line like that. Put that right there. And then I'm going to put my little 90-degree mark right there to show that that's a 90-degree. And it's a perfect bisector between A and B, perpendicular. Okay, so quickly, make sure that you're labeling everything, just like your final example on each side, okay? Now, when you come down here to draw your lines, it starts out with R and A. You have to add those points just like up here, but you can call them whatever points you want as long as they're not already on there. Okay, make sure you're hearing me. Make sure that you're labeling everything on there because it doesn't tell you right here what to label it as. So A, B, and X can be anything you want other than something that's already been used, okay? So don't use A because it's already right there. That's a small a, but still. So just use any other letter except R and A, okay? And the same thing with R and B. Over here on the front side, same thing applies. You've got to label not A, B. You gotta label M, Y, and X, okay? So just use a letter that's not already used on your diagram that you're making,